3, 2, 1. Hello, Philly here. I'm going to do another interview with Richard Ekins, and he's from Next, the company, and he's a recent testicular cancer survivor. And he said, look, Phil, do you want to come do some talks, or can we do some awareness for the company Next? And I go and do talks all over the country at different companies. And I thought, why don't we get Richard to talk about his experiences, and he can show it to his company, and it's more personal, rather than me going down and boring everyone to death. So hello, Richard. Thanks very much for joining me this morning.
More than welcome.
And yeah, good to see you. You're looking well. And I'd like to say, firstly, thank you to you and your mates who've done a recent, or you're going to do the what's it called, where you go over
three peaks challenge. Yeah.
Really kind for that. You know, as we don't do it for donations, but you've done that's really kind of you. So thank you to all of you who've done that. As you know, I'm not very good at talking. So firstly, I am really. Firstly, let's talk to Richard. Richard, where are you from? Tell us about yourself, and then if we can go on about when you were diagnosed.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, my name's Richard Ekins. I am a father of 2, got 2 children, been married nearly 15 years. As you've mentioned, I worked for Next since I was 16, so 24 years. I've been at the company. Say again, sorry.
Don't look that old.
Thank you. And yeah, I'm a big lover of football, sports, running. Yeah, I'm very sporty. And yeah, September last year was a big shock because I've always been very healthy, always sort of exercised a lot, plays a lot of football. And yeah, so in September last year, I got diagnosed with testicular cancer, and it was a massive shock. You know, I think if I think back, I started getting some pains. It was more like a dull ache. It wasn't like it was like a really bad pain. It was just didn't quite feel right. And I sort of it was coming and going. It wasn't there all the time. And you know, one week it'd be like, oh, it's not quite right. But the problem was, it took me till, so probably the pain started maybe around about May, June time, and it was August by the time I'd gone to the end of August by the time I'd gone to the doctor, and it was at an ultrasound scan where the sonographer sort of told me, he was honest. He says it does look like it's irregular. That's what he said to me. I sort of questioned him, what does that mean, irregular? He says it looks like it's cancer. Massive shock, wasn't expecting it, and obviously hit me for 6. You know, when you hear that word, it's you're not sort of, you know, nothing can prepare you, I don't think, for that. And it was just a normal Saturday morning. I went to the hospital. My wife went to take the kids cross country, and so yeah, I wasn't expecting to sort of have that news there and then, but it happened, and yeah, and then from there the journey started. So I then went to see, obviously I saw a specialist on the NHS, and they sort of spoke about what's going to happen next. Got booked in for surgery. It all happened very, very quickly. The NHS were brilliant, and everything happened really quickly. And it was.
I just asked you, did you have any lumps or swellings in the testicle, or was it just a delay?
Well, I know always one is slightly larger than the other, but yeah, I think I was a bit. I don't know what's the correct word. I don't know. I probably wasn't one to talk about it too much and probably think about it. It didn't feel right. I didn't feel that it felt big, but it turns out it was quite big. Right. And that's why, obviously, when it had been removed and, you know, obviously looked at, it was I think 4.4 centimeters. Right. So it was quite large, and I think it was over the threshold for. I think it put me in another category which meant that I needed to have the chemotherapy as well. So yeah, recovered from the surgery, was getting back into a bit of running and a little bit of exercise and walking and things like that. And then obviously had the chat with the oncologist, and that's sort of said, you know, it's probably for the best. You're in that high risk category because of how large it was that you'll need to have have chemotherapy, sort of precautionary blast of chemo. So that happened in November. Sort of, yeah, it's not the greatest time, but it hit me for 6. Sort of felt like myself, but it felt like a really weaker and tired version of me, if you know what I mean. It was, and then after that, Christmas happened, and then sort of January started running and exercising again, and then in February, spoke to the oncologist, had some scans and X-rays and blood tests, and sort of got the all clear. So that was obviously very, very happy, relieved, and that's when I decided that the Testicular Cancer UK site was something that I looked at when I was going through in the early stages about it's one of the websites that I found useful, and that's why I contacted yourself and sort of I wanted to give something back, but not only give something back to you guys and do something like this, but it was also to raise awareness. And I think that's important now. I couldn't talk about it at the beginning, so I was quite private about it. I told a few people at work, obviously my family and what have you, but I didn't want to I wanted to I was quite private about it. I wanted to sort of deal with it in my own way, but now it's sort of feel like I'm in that sort of period of active surveillance now, where I'm being regularly tested. I sort of feel like now is a good chance to talk about it, and sort of, when I speak to people, I'll be open with how I felt and how it affected me and what I should have done, and just encourage people to go and see a doctor. Don't hesitate. Go and see a doctor, and there's nothing to be squeamish about doing the checks and things like that. It's something you've got to do because it can happen to anyone.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, you said things you should have done. I mean, how if you can be honest, I've had this twice, so I know how it feels with all the chemo and everything. How did you feel mentally when what men seem to do is they can be too brave, and that's tiring. They can tell people, I'm fine, I'll be fine. But I know, as well as you know, that when the kids go to bed and the missus is upstairs and you sat alone, how was your mental battle? Can you, if you could, I mean, you don't have to go into too deep.
I think at first, I used to, it hit me like a train. I'll be honest with you. The first sort of few weeks, I'm normally a very, very positive person, and I am somebody that is quite open, and it was very upsetting. But I've got a good family behind me. I've got a good wife that's easy to talk to. My kids, we were honest with kids as well at the beginning, because I think the situation that I was in how I was told was at the same time as my kids. Sort of when I got home, the kids and wife came in, and it was obvious what there was some not very nice news to share. So we sort of have been very honest with the kids. Wife's easy to talk to, and there was some moments where it was very upsetting, and that I found that talking about it was helped a lot. Sometimes I kept a few things to myself, and I felt that and then things play on your mind and whatnot. But I think because my family are quite easy to talk to and been very supportive, and that definitely helped get through it. And I think having the milestones as well. So, right, okay, we've got a doctor's appointment on this date. We've got surgery booked in on this date. Work has been very good as well in terms of time off and not rushing me back or anything like that. I'm very active, as I've spoke about, playing football, running. It was my family's job to try and get me to relax, because I'm not very good at I read loads of books, watched box sets and things like that, but I just wanted to get out. I wanted to be active, so it was almost like a bit of a battle to try and get me to not, do too much too soon. But that was, I had good support from family. So that was important. Good support from work as well, which was
How
I
did
felt
you
very
tell
important.
all your football mates straight away, or did you? Because I think men can say, "Oh, I don't want to tell my mates," because they'll
Yeah,
just, you know what I mean? It's
there was there was an element to that.
really,
I remember sending my football manager at the time a WhatsApp message, and I just said, it is what it is. I don't really want anyone to sort of know at the minute, and so I kind of left it like that. And I remember being on the football group. So you playing this week? Are you playing this week? Oh no, hopefully be back soon in a couple of months, you know. And it was, and that I think helped as well, having something to look forward to a little bit, you know, getting back to playing football again and having that as the goal to get back into it. And
yeah.
it was. I mean, some of my friends have been brilliant as well, I must say. You know, I had some work colleagues come around and bring me food after the surgery. They did send me a lovely card and things like that. And people often checking on me. I had one mate that came around, but homemade curry, brought that round for me one evening. And you know, when I was able to sort of walk again after the surgery, a couple of mates took us out for breakfast. And so like I say, family, friends, and work have been great, and that sort of helped me through it.
That's good. It's good to have good mates, Matt. I mean, I'm from up north. They used to bring me around fags and lager. Only joking. But you went on. Did you say you had a shot of BEP chemo? Was it BEP?
Yes.
Yeah, and that
Yeah.
was is that over 4 weeks, isn't it? BEP. Yeah.
I just had the one day, so I only went in the once, so it was a precautionary blast of chemo. So that was, I think, mid-November, I think it was, and yeah, I had a few weeks off work after that, and then work allowed me, because I wanted to keep busy and things like that. So work allowed me to sort of work part time, do half days after that, and didn't push me back into work. It was very much like, if you're feeling well enough, you know, we'll support you back into. So that was good. Working from home as well at the time has been helpful with, you know, not being having to, you know, coming to an office every day. So that again, you know, that was good, really good.
Well done for Next for that, because believe it or not, I hear lots of horror stories from lads who've had 6 months of chemo, being told to be back within 4 days, or they get fired, type stuff. Honestly, go on. So well done to Next. Were there any time? I mean, how did you find that one blast of carbo? Were you okay with the car?
I wasn't. I don't think I was too bad. I think maybe because I'm quite fit and healthy. I don't know if that helped, but
It does help to be fit, yeah.
But I just felt weak. I felt tired. I felt for a good couple of weeks after that, and then I think I started walking a little bit, doing some light exercise, and yes, the first couple of weeks weren't very nice. Didn't feel very good, and obviously your immune system's on the floor, isn't it? So I run a kids football team as well, and yeah, that was hard because I couldn't mix with the kids. So I had to sort of take a step back from that, which was quite difficult. It's something that I love doing, and that was quite difficult. But you know, it was, I couldn't mix with the kids up until probably after Christmas. So I just had to be careful and just had to make good choices. And again, having family around me, making sure that I wasn't rushing things. But yeah, for the first couple of weeks, very tired, very lethargic, and just felt a bit weak. Just didn't quite feel right. But obviously, it was needed. It was necessary.
Yeah, for those who are going to watch this video, there are different types of testicular cancer, and there are different strengths, and there are different chemos. I presume if you had one round of carbo, you had pure seminoma. I mean, there's pure seminoma, which is a type of testicular cancer, and there's non-seminoma, which is a type of testicular cancer, and some are more aggressive than others. They're all dangerous. They're all very dangerous, but some need some precautionary chemo that hasn't spread, which is called carboplatin, which is what Richard had, and even that's not nice, to be honest. But that's a relatively new thing. It's got a really good, successful rate of getting rid of any rogue cells that has been.
Yeah.
So there's been good reports on that, but still, it's any sort of chemo isn't nice. I mean, I've had loads of it. You put me through one of those metal detectors. I have to check that to have a pass to go for a metal detector in an airport. But there you go. But that's brilliant. So tell me, you know, you've been through the hard work, you've been through the mental battle, although that, as we admit, sometimes if you've got checkups coming up, you've got blood tests coming up, it can all sort of like creep it back in. So how do you feel when you come up to, you know, you've got a checkup coming up, Richard? Do you just sort of get a bit panicky and achy? And
Well, I must admit, I did shortly after getting the all clear. I had some pains down there again, and you know, I kind of mentioned it to the wife, and it was straight back in onto the oncologist, spoke about it, was in for another ultrasound. I think it was the following day, and checked, and absolutely fine. And I think the sonographer joked that I probably needed more supportive pants, or it could be some like phantom pains or whatever. But I must admit, I was on edge. I was really on edge, and you know, I don't know. It was a weird feeling, because I was like, it's back, it's come back. In my head, I felt sick. You know, it was like just feeling that pain. And I think I was sat in a meeting at work, and I remember ringing my wife on my lunch and just saying, I've got this pain again. And just again, so I think the mental side never goes away. You always got it there in the back of your mind, haven't you? And that's how I felt. But then obviously getting checked and told it's fine. You know, I went and bought some supportive pants, and, but in terms of the blood tests, you know, that's just a quick trip down to the doctors and having that done. And then I think the last CT scan that I had was it's kind of almost like you get a bit used to with the needles and the jabs and the scans and things. It almost like you've got another one coming up, and you get the dates for the next one. I've got a chest X-ray coming up. Sorry, I've just had a chest X-ray. And you go in, you get it done, and then obviously the follow-up appointments just to keep checking. And it does reassure you. Obviously, being checked a lot for 5 years is nice, a nice feeling that it's obviously happening, but it just does feel a little bit, rightfully or wrongfully, it feels a bit second nature at the minute, because it's happening every so often that you're having these checks, scans, X-rays, and things like that. So you know, it feels good on one hand, but it sort of almost does play on your mind a little bit. You think, well, okay, what if it has come back? What if you do get some bad news? But you know, I suppose the flip side to that is if you do get some bad news, you know that it's not been lingering for a long time, because you are being checked regularly. So,
well, I mean, that's a good attitude. I mean, me and Richard, if anybody watching this, me and Richard will both agree that once you've had cancer, you get a pain in your ear, you've got ear cancer. You get a pain on your fingernail, you've got fingernail cancer. You get a pain in the bum, you've got bum cancer. So it does. I mean, from experience, we forget we had these pains before. We can overthink things, but I think as you get further away, and Richard, in 5 years, 6 years time, they'll say you'll forget about these pains. But I mean, I'm into my 20th year now, and there are sometimes it doesn't go away. You know, you get a headache, and particularly bad headache. You know, well, that's not just a normal headache, so it never really goes away. But I think that'll be for life, Rich. I mean, you do. I mean, sometimes I forget my appointments. I'm that. I just go like that. But no, it never really goes away. But yeah, it's what I was going to say is you've got the right attitude, because you think of as a checkup as this is an opportunity for them to tell me I'm going to be fine. when so many lads, I spend a lot of time, don't get me wrong, it's nothing wrong with that. A lot of lads will bring me days before a checkup and they won't go. So,
Yeah.
right attitude, that's a brilliant attitude. So, you know, how do you, the future, obviously you've got all your checkups coming up and you're going to do some awareness and you've done the 3 peaks.
Yeah.
How do you feel going into the future? Are you optimistic about it all? Or?
Yeah, I feel, like I said, I know I've mentioned my family a lot, but yeah, I feel very positive about the future. You know, I feel good that I'm being checked often. I'm checking myself more as well, which I think is important, and I like to talk to people about it as well. You know, if I see somebody that I've not seen for a long time and they say, "Oh, how you've been?" and I'll say what's happened, and we'll have a chat about it. And then, you know, it has happened in the last couple of months where I've seen someone I've not seen for a while. I've had a chat with them, and they've, "Oh, I didn't realise that sort of happened," and it's got onto a subject of, actually, do you know what? I've had a few pains down there, and this, that, and the other, and I'm like, go to the doctors, get yourself checked, you know, and it has actually happened. So it's good to talk. I think that's the main thing. It's good to talk. It's helpful, as men don't sort of, I don't know, we don't kind of talk about these things as probably as much as we should do. But in terms of the future, and I do feel positive. You know, I've got things in my social life, like I said, my football, my running. You know, I've booked onto the 3 Peaks Challenge to obviously to do this and raise awareness. You know, there's obviously all the training involved in that. I've got a 10K running race coming up in a couple of months' time. I've got my son's football team, which I manage, and that obviously that's almost like a full-time job, managing that and what have you. So yeah, I'm feeling I'm in a really good place. I feel really positive. I've got a lot of support, and I think, you know, I think that's the thing. I want obviously to thank you guys as well at the charity, because the website has been a wealth of knowledge for me, and it's also a good place.
It's nice to hear that, because the website gets about 500 hits a day, so I don't know if anybody's really reading it. But if the website's helped, I wrote all that myself. It took me weeks.
Yeah.
The website itself, well, that it's nice to be told that, because I don't get told very often. Thanks very much. So your chance now. You obviously, hopefully, this video will go to the people who work at Next. Also, before we go on to that, did you find, Rich, that when you do talk to people about Testicular, especially other men, do they look and think, "God, you're young. Are you a bit too young to have cancer?" Because I think men don't realise the average age for testicular cancer is 28. You know, it's very unusual to get it below 50. If you get me.
Yeah.
I think that's when I first had it. I thought, only 28. You know, what's going on here? So
I found talking about it, and you know, the people at work who I work with and friends, and you know, they all now know that it's actually, you know, although it's a rare cancer, it's actually more common. It's most common for young males, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, and actually, you know, the age banding that it sort of most commonly affects. Yeah, I think when talking about it with people, I think it does surprise people, and yeah, but like I say, if someone does ask you the question about being a young male, probably not so young anymore. But
you are, mate.
I mean, yeah, I've just crept into my 40s now. Although when I did get diagnosed, I was 39. I was 39 when I got diagnosed, and yeah, 40. I turned 40 actually in between the surgery and the chemotherapy. So
I'm not blowing smoke here, Richard, but honestly, you look up to me about 29, 30. Honestly,
love you.
I was 50 last year. You know what I mean? So, but no, you're looking good. Yeah. So what do we say? Right. Hopefully, a lot of people in the Next, the company, will hopefully see this video and on the dinner break. But what would you say to all the men? Give them a bit why they should check. Obviously, you told your story, but
Yeah.
if you could stand up just for 5 minutes in front of your whole company about testicular cancer, what would you say?
I'd say don't be squeamish about doing the checks. Have a look at this website because it's got lots of videos, lots of information, and I'd encourage everybody to to have a look at it, review what you need to check, how you need to check. Don't be squeamish about it. It's something everybody has got to do. I was always one of those people that thought it would happen to somebody else. It wouldn't happen to me. So regular check-in, not being squeamish, and any problems at all, anything that you're not sure about, go and see your GP and seek that advice. I wanted to actually mention that my GP I was his second patient of his first day at the new surgery. So when I saw him, he was brand new to his surgery. I didn't realise I was just seeing a doctor. But we sent an email
out of university doctor. You mean?
I'm not too sure. He was young. He was a young doctor. I'm not too sure of his career background or anything like that. But he was somebody who we saw, and obviously he recognised because he put me on antibiotics. He made sure I got us an appointment with the right people and the scan really, really quickly. And we did email back to the surgery a few months later just to say thank you, because without him and putting us forward and sort of trying to rush it through almost, and not sort of, right, okay, take these antibiotics, see how you get on. He did everything. He booked a scan. He booked the appointment with the relevant people at the hospital, and it was off the back of that obviously I got seen a lot quicker. So and then when we emailed back and then I saw him again, and he says, actually, you were only ever my second patient at this doctor's surgery. So it was quite nice sort of going back and talking to him, and he was like, thanks, people don't get praise often, but I think it's nice to share that with the doctor, that he very, very helpful.
The GPs even just 10 years ago, Richard, some didn't even get scanned. Some lads, they just say, oh, it's an infection to our.
Yeah.
But now I think most, even if it's a slight pain now, even if it's a knock, even if there's something not right, they do get an ultrasound. So GPs are doing a good job. But well, I think it's brilliant that you've opened up about your story, Richard, because not many people would. And well done for Next, by the way, for being so supportive to you. I think in this day and age, the companies are getting better. Honestly, like I've said, I've had lads ringing me in tears saying I finished chemo last week and they're telling me to be back work Monday. So well done for Next for that.
Yeah.
I'll still come down in the future and do talks if you want, Rich. That's fine. But hopefully, people watching this video, because they know you and they know that you work for Next, some of them men will be home tonight checking. And like I've said, and like Richard said, testicularcanceruk.com has got loads of info. It's got videos, it's got films, it's got how to check your test scores, it's got people's stories. And it's down to earth to look at. It's a different website, I think, Richard, in it compared to some of the others. And that we are voluntary. We've all got normal jobs, and we do this on our days off, and we go and do talks. So make sure you go to the website. And Rich, I will send you some more shirts, by the way. And good luck. When are you doing the 3 Peaks?
So it's the 4th and 5th of July. So I'm trying to think. That's about 8 to 9 weeks. 9 weeks, I think, until we go. Fly out to Glasgow on the Monday the 3rd. I think then it's a long train journey to Ben Nevis. Stay over, and then we start it at Tuesday. I think it's about 8 o'clock on the Tuesday morning.
I've done all 3. I've not done them in the time scale that they do the 3. I've done all 3. Yeah, because I was in the military, obviously. The Pike, I think the Pike's the hardest.
Right, okay.
Okay. But it's more scrambly. You have to scramble unless you can sort of walk up. this
Mhm.
height you have to, you actually have to
Yeah.
do that to get up the top. So, but good luck with that, and I hope you enjoy it. And thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
And I'm always about you ever need me, you know that, Rich. But we're going to end this interview, and hopefully, Rich in the future is going to put it out to all employees. And it's been great actually speaking to you, Rich, because I woke up with a terrible man cold, and you've cheered me up. So,
Oh,
yeah,
pleasure.
yeah, I'm not a professional interviewer, but I'd like to say thanks very much for speaking to us today. And I'm going to log off, and we're going to end this video. So, thank you, Richard. I appreciate you talking to us.
Thanks, Phil. You're a legend. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye bye.